Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you a video today to talk about Neymar switching boots. What exactly is going on here, and what do you need to know about this particular situation? That's kind of what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. For those that don't know what's going on, Neymar, the main poster boy for the Hypervenom line, has been seen again wearing Mercurials. It was in a practice. I believe it was a pair of Vapor 10s, but people are not necessarily outraged, but they're still stunned by Neymar going back and forth between Hypervenoms and Mercurials, something that we've seen from him many times before. So what I'm going to be talking about in today's video is the situation in general, sharing my opinions on the matter, and kind of giving some insight on a lot of things that people aren't considering in regards to this particular situation that hopefully clarifies some things in regards to Neymar himself, as well as the Hypervenom and Mercurial lines from Nike. So if you're interested in learning more, stick around, watch the entire video. Feel free to share your input down below in the comments as well. And with that being said, let's get right into the video. The best way to explain this situation is to kind of start from the beginning. Now, for those that don't know, Neymar is a Nike endorsed athlete, meaning that Nike pays Neymar to wear their products to represent the brand in a positive way, and at the moment he is kind of the main poster boy for the Hypervenom line. Now you have to consider that Neymar has been endorsed by Nike for quite some time now, so he's kind of used to wearing their products, and whether it's by choice or because of money, because obviously if a company is going to pay you a ton of money to wear their product, you're going to do it. Either way, he's been wearing Nike products for a long time. Now, prior to the original Hypervenom, the release of the Hypervenom line in general, they replaced the T90s, introduced the Hypervenoms. Neymar was wearing Mercurials. He didn't necessarily have a big role in terms of marketing the Mercurial line within the Nike brand and all the other big name athletes wearing Mercurials. But like I said, he wore Mercurials, and given that he's a younger guy, he likely wore Mercurials for the majority of his professional and likely amateur career as well. So obviously with the release of the first generation Hypervenoms, Neymar was one of a couple main poster boys for that particular line, and then kind of later on they made him more or less the face of the line, giving him some signature colorways. So even with the original Hypervenom Phantom 1, while he wore it pretty much its entire run, there were a couple of times where he was kind of reverting back to wearing a pair of Mercurial Vapors, which, hey, it is what it is. Obviously, the guy likes his Mercurials. Now, with the release of the Hypervenom Phantom 2, which was, what I want to say about a year ago now, he obviously was wearing them at the start, and then shortly after, he decided that he didn't necessarily like what it had on offer. He reverted back to Mercurials once again, and since then, Nike has kind of made his own variation of the shoe that is kind of a Mercurial upper with a Hypervenom graphic. It looks like a Hypervenom, but likely feels more like a Mercurial. We don't really know much beyond the pictures of him wearing the shoes, but that's kind of what it looks like, and I think most people would agree. It's a Mercurial dressed up like a Hypervenom. So very recently, again, Neymar was spotted wearing a pair of Mercurial Vapor 10s in practice, which is kind of the main reason why I'm making this video. People are all shocked again. He's wearing Mercurials. How long will this last? Why is he switching shoes? That's kind of what I want to talk about. But that's the whole story of what this current situation is for those that don't know. So why is Neymar switching shoes? Like I just mentioned, I think the strongest argument that you can make is that he pretty much grew up wearing Mercurials. He's a younger guy, 24 years old, 1 year older than me, born in 1992. So he's likely had the ability or has worn Mercurials throughout the majority of his playing days. So he obviously has a fondness for the Mercurial line. Like I said, he was wearing them prior to the release of the Hypervenoms, where again, Nike paid him to actually represent the Hypervenom line, to be one of the poster boys. So he's been monetarily compensated for wearing Hypervenoms. This is sports marketing 101, guys. I think this is a great example of how what you see being marketed as the best of the best, or what this particular style of player needs to wear, isn't necessarily true. It's more or less money at the end of the day. If Nike, for whatever reason, wanted Ronaldo to wear Nike Premiers and they paid him a ton of money to do it, he would probably do it. Does that mean that the Nike Premier is Ronaldo's preference? No, it just means that he's wearing a pair of Nike Premiers because Nike paid him X amount of dollars. So in the case of the Hypervenom line, do I think Neymar dislikes the Hypervenoms? Not necessarily. I think he just likes what the Mercurial line has on offer a little bit more. Does that make Hypervenoms better or worse than Mercurials? No, it just makes them different. Neymar has a preference, everybody has a preference, and we're kind of getting a really, really good idea of what his preferences are because he's switching back and forth between these two shoes. This is not a bad shoe. I've worn it myself. I think it's actually pretty good. I know a lot of you guys probably have a pair of Phantom 2s. You might like them, you might hate them. Again, everybody has their own preference, but at the end of the day, I don't think that we can say that this is a bad shoe because Neymar, the main poster boy, doesn't necessarily want to wear the exact version that you can buy in the store. Again, it's just a case of him preferring, obviously, Mercurials over Hypervenoms. Now, like I mentioned, there is a little bit of deception in this whole situation in that Neymar is being paid to wear Hypervenoms to represent the Hypervenom line, where people have the idea, if you're not a boot enthusiast, you're just going to assume that Neymar's wearing Hypervenoms because he really, really likes Hypervenoms. And again, this is sports marketing, not necessarily a true indication of that particular player's true personal preferences. With that being said, a brand like Nike with a big name like Neymar is going to be as accommodating as possible. So like I said, he's been wearing an altered variation of what looks like a Hypervenom, but what appears to be more of a mercurial vapor in terms of the materials, the way it looks. Again, we don't really know for sure what the exact makeup of the shoe he's wearing is. We just know that if you look closely, it definitely isn't a Hypervenom Phantom 2. It doesn't have the mid-cut collar. It doesn't have the Nike Skin upper. It appears to be a thinner synthetic material that looks more along the lines of a vapor with, again, the Hypervenom graphics. You see something similar with a guy like Cristiano Ronaldo, another very, very big name, who doesn't necessarily wear a super altered variation of the Superfly 5 based on what we can see, aside from the collar. It's basically half the normal length. Is this something that they need to do, that he needs to have in order to kind of wear that shoe? Probably not. I would assume that Ronaldo has that because he can have it. The brand's going to accommodate whatever these athletes need or want in their footwear, and as long as it looks like or looks close to the actual thing, most people aren't going to notice. Again, boot enthusiasts like us, they know Neymar is not wearing the regular Hypervenom. We know Ronaldo is not wearing the standard collar length on the Superfly 5, but most people, for the most part, have no idea. And that's why, again, I don't think it is that crazy to understand that Neymar is switching back and forth. Nike's doing their best to accommodate him, but obviously he still has quite a fondness for what the Mercurials have on offer, be it the look, be it the feel, whatever it may be. He obviously really likes Mercurials. The last aspect of this situation that needs to be considered is the mental aspect. You have a guy like Neymar who is, every single time that he steps on the field, is expected to perform at the highest level. People are expecting unbelievable things every single time that he touches the ball. So if he's not playing up to the standard that he feels he can be at, he's going to try and change something up. And what, as a soccer player, are you going to change up first? What's the first thing you'll change up? It's your shoes, especially if you have multiple pairs. And a guy like Neymar obviously has kind of the mentality to change his shoes when things aren't going his way, or change his shoes for whatever reason, whatever's going on in his head, he feels the need to change his shoes. So that's kind of one of the things that I see as a major kind of highlight in this whole situation, in that he might not necessarily dislike the shoe that he's currently wearing, the custom variation of the Hypervenom that he wears normally, but maybe he's just feeling that if he switches into this shoe, he's going to be that much more confident, or he's going to feel that much better. Again, just because it's something that he's perhaps more used to, or perhaps just feels more comfortable with. That's something that needs to be considered. The other thing you have to think about is maybe he's just an enthusiast. Maybe he just really likes Mercurials, and every once in a while he wants to pull them out just to change it up a little bit. I don't think it's that bad of a thing for Nike at the end of the day. He's still wearing a Nike product. He's not going and wearing a pair of Copa Mundials or something like that. That would be catastrophic for the brand from a marketing standpoint. But again, maybe he's an enthusiast. Maybe he just likes to switch it up every once in a while just to try something different. I know if I was a professional player, an enthusiast as I am, I would still have kind of a pretty good eye on what's new and what's current in the soccer cleat world, and I would probably be curious about other models within a brand or within other brands, regardless of whether or not I was being paid to wear a particular shoe or a particular brand of shoe. So again, a couple things to think about in regards to why he's switching his shoes. Maybe he's superstitious, maybe he's just a little bit of an enthusiast. We don't really know for sure, but I think those are pretty logical explanations as to why he is switching his shoes every once in a while. So what's going to happen with this whole situation? Is Neymar going to continue wearing Hypervenoms, the altered variation that he's been wearing? Is he going to continue on in Mercurials? What's going to happen? Honestly, I think he's just going to continue wearing the altered variation of the Hypervenoms that he has been. Maybe he'll have a new alteration that Nike will make up for him. Will we see him in Mercurials again? I would bet that it is very, very likely. But again, ultimately Nike is going to be as accommodating as they possibly can. Make him a shoe that looks like a Hypervenom, that feels the way that he wants it to feel. But again, at the end of the day, if he wants to pull out some Mercurials for practice one day, who's to stop him? So just a couple things to keep in mind. Again, this is kind of a great example of how marketing is a very, very powerful tool, and what you see and what reality is isn't necessarily the same thing. So just because Neymar is wearing Hypervenoms doesn't necessarily mean that that is his shoe of choice. It just means that he's being paid to wear Hypervenoms. So just keep that in mind. I know a lot of people want the shoes that their favorite players are wearing, and Neymar is the favorite player of a lot of young kids nowadays. But again, don't be fooled by sports marketing. Pick a shoe based on your personal preferences, because that seems to be what Neymar is doing with his altered Hypervenoms or a pair of Mercurials. So that's pretty much it in terms of what I have to say on the matter. If you guys have any questions at all in regards to what I talked about in the video, leave them down below in the comment section. I definitely will get an answer out to you. And if you have any input of your own, leave that down below in the comments as well, and I'll take a look at what you guys have to say. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.